We experienced over 4 months of invoicing chaos. Sometimes invoices went out incorrectly, sometimes they went out too late, and sometimes they didn't go out at all. By the time we started to get a handle on the problem, our account receivables had ballooned. I found myself spending a lot of time calling on our customers to apologize and work through all the mistakes. One of our largest customers, a well-known national bank, had asked us to come in so we could figure out some way out of the maze. By our count, which we had double and triple checked, they owed us a little over $100,000. Yet the invoicing had been so problematic and the mistakes so complex that their finance and training people still had a lot of questions. Suffice to say that this was an important meeting. My marketplace manager spent days preparing the data, and we both invested a lot of time getting ready. As we sat in their conference room at their headquarters, handouts at the ready, awaiting the arrival of their vice president of training and development, we chatted with 3 of the bank's other team members. We talked about the weather. We talked about the local sports team. You get the picture. Happy talk. Casual chit-chat. All of a sudden, in walks the VP. The atmosphere instantly changes. The 3 people we've been chatting with stop smiling and start frowning. The VP doesn't say hello. He doesn't sit down, and he doesn't make eye contact. He stands at the head of the table and says, "Look, you guys have already cost us so much time trying to figure out your invoices, which classes we have taken, and which ones we haven't, that I don't believe we should pay you anything. However, here's what we've been able to figure out on our side. We owe you about $70,000. We'll pay you $70,000 within the next week and call it even and then move forward. Now I've got to go to another meeting. It's a busy day here and I don't have any more time for this. Just let us know what you decide." There was a split-second pause, and during that pause he made eye contact with me for the very first time. As he did, I'm sure he sensed the fear that his words had brought about in me. That, of course, was his desired outcome. Having produced that outcome, he turned and walked out of the room. Negotiation over. Suffice it to say, I was unprepared to deal with someone like him. As I reflect upon that situation, I can't help remembering the depth of the panic and stress I experienced in that moment. I can't help thinking about how little I had done to prepare myself, not just tactically, but mentally and emotionally, for that meeting. The VP didn't beat me at the negotiating table. I beat me. Today, I realize I would have had a much better outcome had I had the strong belief and mindset that our information was correct. It was. We had all our ducks in a row. But deep down, I felt my leverage was not very strong because I knew that we were the ones who had caused the invoicing issues. My belief structure and my mental and emotional starting point were all wrong. As a result, I walked in the door hoping to please. I began the meeting at a disadvantage. Not only that, I didn't recognize the tactic being used on me for what it was. A tactic. If I'd been able to recognize the negotiations gambit the VP had just used to take me off guard, a quick and decisive demand, followed by an apparent collapse of discussions, I could have responded to it much more effectively than I did. Knowing what you're likely to be up against is a critical part of the mental game of negotiation. The knowledge you have makes it more likely that you will respond maturely and resourcefully in a potentially stressful situation. Finally, even though I was prepared with all the data as I walked into that room, I look back now and realize how unprepared I was tactically. I'd been totally caught off guard, with no response at the ready, because I hadn't realized that the game could begin at any moment. It didn't occur to me to have a response ready just in case someone threw me a curveball. I was literally speechless. The moment of truth came during the instant that he looked at me for a response, and I was completely unprepared. I collapsed. That collapse was entirely preventable. If I had done a better job of preparing tactically, I would not have caved at the moment of truth, and he could not have taken advantage of me in the way that he did. What I want you to notice is that it was my own choices and my own internal responses that caused me to get crushed in that negotiation, such as it was. And there were lots of people counting on me. I had let down not just myself, but my whole team. I tell you this story for a simple reason. The best place to begin any discussion about negotiation is by consulting the nearest mirror. You have to start with